who, here is a person who enjoys life, fantastic golfer. How much of a golfer is he? He buys a house in Eagleton so that there's a golf course surrounding his house. How cool is that? Wonderful family, terrific life, and Ramesh wants to do nothing more than impart whatever he has learned over these 70 odd years of his life to make us better. Ramesh, I know I haven't done you justice. That is Ramesh Venkateswaran. Thank you.
Thank you, Dash. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
And over to the speaker, please. Shushila, is it possible for you to give the speaker view? Change it to?
I have a small presentation. Dash said you can have a presentation. So can I share? Can you give me share
please.
screen?
Yeah, please do.
If you can.
You need permission or something? I think you should be able to, Ramesh.
Just that share
If you can,
screen to activate, Shushila.
if it's not possible, it doesn't matter.
1 minute.
You can just click on the share screen.
Are you able to? Do you see the share screen?
Yeah.
Green
It's at the bottom.
No, Gargi. Ramesh, are you able to see the green share screen?
Ramesh, at the bottom of the screen, share screen, green.
Because I don't see anything stopping him from being able to do it. So.
Oh God.
Couple of minutes, don't be unhappy. Take it easy.
No, I am having a bit of a problem here. Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
absolutely loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, screen is also up, I guess. Share it.
I know Ramesh is a cool guy, but the screen is frozen.
Could we try or just doing audio? Bandwidth is an issue.
Shushila, now your screen has come, but not
no,
the.
I think it's on his mobile because I'm trying to. Hey, Ramesh, you want to share the PPT or whatever you may have?
Oh, I'm having, what's happening is, I think I'm having a challenge with going through this Google Chrome because I'm on a MacBook. 1 minute, I'm reconnecting. I'll do it without the.
Cool. Yeah, I think you just talk through.
Yeah.
You know your stuff. Yeah, great. Thanks.
I'm just I don't know why it's not correct. I can hear this. Yeah. Can you see me?
Yes.
Not yet, Ramesh.
I'm unmuted. Okay.
There you go, man. You're
All
good.
good, Ramesh. All
Okay.
good.
Good evening. How much time do I have, Dash? Considering that you took away all the time talking about me, maybe I should quit while I'm on top. And
You got at least half an hour more. You want 5-10 minutes more, Ramesh?
okay,
We
fine.
are all happy.
Fine.
Go right ahead.
Just give me a minute. I had to close my presentation. Not that I need it, but it just gives me an anchor to work on. And I'll just give me 30 seconds. I hope I'll open that. Yeah. I'm not going to share it. I won't share it because we ran into trouble. Murphy is working overtime today.
Don't worry, take it easy. We have all the time in the world.
Oh,
You can't be unhappy when you're talking about happiness trail, buddy.
if you're a Tambram, all these things are stress factors. There is no way you're going to get out of that. That you can't take it out of me. But okay, for some reason my MacBook doesn't like Chrome. That's very clear. It
So the
refuses.
traveler tries Safari.
Wait a minute. No, Safari was not opening. Okay, I've opened my. Yeah, it's. I'm really on a Safari right now. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Dad. Thanks. You've taken a topic of mine, which I love, of course. And am I audible?
Absolutely, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. I have interacted with your Rotary Club. I have, of course, keep interacting regularly with Dash. And yeah, Dash, when I went to Dhanbad and I was in mining equipment, I finally said, I got to go and mind my own business. That's why I came back to Bangalore and went into Lawrence School. I mean, came back here. Well, let me quickly wrap up this. I'll take about 20-25 minutes as I planned earlier. And I wish I could have shown you the presentation. But anyway, I'm really going through this over my book, The Happiness Trail, A Roadmap to Success. But essentially, how this came about is what Dash mentioned to you. From the corporate world, I went into the management consulting world. And then for some strange reason, in 2005, I got a call from my school. I went there. I came back and it was not Siddhaganga, it was Dharmasthala, Dash. I was in the Dharmasthala School of Management in Mysore. I say that because I had the great opportunity of interacting closely with somebody I consider one of the greatest human beings alive, that is Dr. Virendra Hegde.
My apologies, SDM it was.
SDM, and then, being with school. So over a period of time, and one of the things I started doing was I started interacting with students and young people, not on a casual basis like at the IIM, but on a 24/7. When I was in Lawrence, I was on a 24/7 with children anywhere from 7-8 years old to 16-18 years old, co-educational school, and so on and so forth. Then when I went to the postgrad in Mysore, and I found I had a common theme which I was trying to talk to, and it ended up in this. And this is my last lecture. Actually, what I'm talking about was actually my last lecture in my strategy class in the management schools. And then the students would come and say, why don't you write a book about it? And I'm going to compress that book into 20-25 minutes that we have. The paradox or the irony of my whole last lecture in IIMs was, at the end of the day, the students would come and say, this was the best lecture we've ever attended. And I would say, what about my other 19 lectures? That was the purpose of this course. And if you say that you like this lecture, which is about philosophy. But anyway, it's a greatly satisfying thing. So this book is aimed at almost anybody, but definitely young people because of the way things are going. So I started by this, I started actually looking at what are we trying to achieve in life? What are we trying to do at the end of the day? And every day from the time we are born till we retire, and today retirement can be any age, we're constantly trying to achieve goals. From the day we get in, the parents want you to get into the best kindergarten. From the kindergarten, you want to get into the school. Once you get into school, each class, then you want to get a 99% in the school passing exams. Why? Because I have to write the IIT, NEET, CET, whatever it may be, architecture, XYZ. And then I need to do that. The minute I get there, I want to get good marks and so on. So what we are really chasing is success. What we are chasing is parameters or metrics of success. If I get into this kindergarten, I will get into that school. If I get into that school, I will be able to do well. Then I need to get marks. If I get marks, I'm happy that I got the marks because I'm happy I got my college. Once I get into the college, I'm working hard. I'm happy I got into the IIM, IIT, job, XYZ. So basically, we are chasing success as defined defined by us by some metrics or parameters. The success could be the car, the house,
when you're on faculty awards.
any material or non-material goals. But therefore, what I realized was basically we are chasing these metrics, we are chasing these goals, saying that if I am successful, I will be happy. So at the fundamental root of it, we are actually trying to be happy. And the formula that we seem to be working on is success equal to happiness. If I do this, if I get into this school, if I get 99, if I get into this college, if I get this job, if I do this, if I get this, if I get this, I'm going to be successful, and successful is equal to happiness. So the formula we seem to be living on in life is success equal to happiness. But when you look around you, and there's enough data now on this, people are not any happier than they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. Suicides are on the rise, depression is on the rise, counseling is on the rise, antidepressants are on the rise. There's enough. Today I keep saying that Dash and I, we are of the 60 plus age group prone to heart attacks. Today it's 30, 35 years. You're ready for a heart attack. And therefore, I said maybe we need to change our paradigm and change our thinking. Instead of saying success equal to happiness, maybe we should say happiness equal to success. And therefore, I should strive for happiness rather than success. And therefore, I keep telling ourselves, what will make us happy? So that is the challenge, because when you look at life in general, it's actually a downward spiral, not so much an upward spiral. I get into a good school, and the minute you define success by a good school or a good mark or a good grade or a good job, ironically, that goal is no longer relevant for you because it doesn't turn you on anymore. I've got my 99%. So what? It's absolutely irrelevant the day after you got your 99, or you got into your school, or you got into your management school, or you got your job. And now we are chasing another goal. So you see that life is one continuous goal chasing exercise. And if you're doing this as a constant endeavor, you will never be happy. And therefore I realized that we are differentiating between two words. What these give you is momentary pleasures, momentary joy, if you want to call it, transient, ephemeral, momentary, whatever you want to call it. And therefore, one of the things, one of the words, jargons, which is very nice, and I think all of us should know, is that we are all used to hedonic adaptation. That is, we adapt to the new normal. The classic example I give in my book is during the COVID, I was at 87 kilos. I said, if I get to 85 kilos, I'm going to be very happy. I actually got to 82. I was thrilled. And then I got back to 85 and I'm unhappy. So I've actually come down from my original weight, but I went to another weight and I thought I'll be extremely thrilled if I got to 85, but I got to 82. And today I'm actually unhappy. So the point is, we are living in a treadmill, what we call a hedonic treadmill. We are constantly on a treadmill trying to keep pace. And these metrics are not going to help us. I got my car. Now I want my next car. My car only cost me 10 lakhs. I want 12 lakhs. Dash has got an Audi. I must get an Audi. Somebody else has got a house. I must get this house. So what I'm trying to say is we need to differentiate between pleasure, joy, satisfaction, and happiness. And if you really think about it, pleasure, joy, satisfaction, they are all obtained from an external trigger. It's an external trigger that gives you that good feeling, that good sense. My marks, my grade, my spouse, my children's achievement, my whatever it may be. Happiness is an internal state of mind. And I see that we all need to be in that internal state of mind. Now, why is this very important and relevant, especially for the current generation? I think that is what we need to understand. And I say current generation, anywhere from newborn to maybe 40, 50 years old at least. So let's look at what's happening to us today. And today, what is happening as compared to the generation that we belong to? Today, we are speaking of very close competition. You look at, I take sports and I'm following the US Open as always. But when you look at a 100 meters race, the difference between the winner and the runner-up is 0.1 second. You look at even the latest stats in the US Open, Wimbledon, they play 200 points each, and the difference between the winner and the runner-up is 1 point and 2 points. between a Nadal and a Djokovic, between a Federer and a Nadal, Federer and Djokovic and somebody. They have played 175 points to 176 points. Literally, that is the kind of difference. So we are working in a world where competition is very close. The second thing is, I take the tennis example. The winner, for winning 1 point more than the runner-up, gets twice the prize money. You get a 2.8 million to 1.4 million or whatever it may be. And the third is therefore what's happening is we are working in a world where competition is severe. It's not easy to stand out. It's just not easy to stand out. The second thing I see is the rewards are not necessarily linked to talent or potential. 1 point in 200 points or 400 points that you play, you make a difference of 1 point, but you get twice the prize money. And therefore I tell youngsters, you're not even living in a fair world. It seems an unfair world, but this is the world we live in and we have to make do with it. And therefore the worry is the third one. And because the stakes to win are high, the difference between the winner and runner-up is so large, the pressure to win becomes very high. And in this anxiety to win, we end up doing a whole lot of things. And that is the danger that we face today. So I feel that all of us need to take back, everyone, we need to sit back and ask ourselves some basic questions. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What is my goal? What do I really want? If I get this job, am I going to be happy? I'm happy till I realize that my colleague has got a bigger increment than I have. I'm happy till somebody else tells me that something else. So I'm just coming to that. So this is where we are working today. Today, the stakes to win are very high. I teach at the IIM, Dash teaches at the IIM, the kind of stress that you have pre-placement time. Everybody wants to get into job, whatever that job is. And, I keep telling kids, saying, in 30 years of life, it really doesn't matter whether you get a lakh of rupees less or a lakh of rupees more, number one. Number two, there is no way you know where you're going to start and where you're going to end. My personal life is a classic example of that. I started with mining, I ended up in packaging, I ended up setting up in marketing from complete hardcore industrial to a complete consumer marketing company. And even today, 30 years later, I'm just surprised my boss recruited me. I have no idea why he recruited me. No qualifications. I'm launching this product with Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev 40 days after joining. I don't know what an advertising company looks like. I have no idea what a market research company is all about. I don't even know what a channel and distributor is all about. And in 45 days, we launched this product. And in about 70, 80 days, I could talk a little bit about all of this. So the point is, the pressure today to achieve is very, very high. It comes from parents, it comes from the society, it comes from everywhere. I know in my family, for example, IIT, IIM, this guy Dash tells me, my children from the day they were born, the whole Jingbang ecosystem said, what's your problem? Father is IIT, IIM. So much so when they passed out of school, my son and daughter said, there are 2 exams I will never do in my life, IIT and IIM. I'm not responsible for it, but it happens. So we are victims of the pressure to conform, the pressure to perform. And therefore, what happens is we end up taking shortcuts. We end up taking shortcuts to win. We end up taking shortcuts. And that's what I say, today's generation, nobody wants to take the staircase. We all want to take the elevator. We want to reach the top fast. And I keep saying, and Dash will agree with me, we play a lot of golf together. I see Mohan there also, golfer. So I'm sure you understand. You will never get the joy of golf riding a buggy as you get walking the course. That's the time you smell the roses, you watch the course, you listen to something. And the journey in life is similar. Unless you take the staircase, you walk through the process. I keep asking my students today, how many of you have gone to a chickpet, to a market? How many of you walk the market? Today, you're all on internet. Have you ever gone and bought a ticket in a railway station? Have you ever gone to a bus stand and seen how it is to buy a ticket over there? Have you gone to the Jayanagar market to buy vegetables? We don't. So this is the generation we are in. And therefore, we need to be careful. Now, for this generation, what is the challenge? So where does this problem start? Pressure to conform, pressure to perform from various sources. But ultimately, the individual is the one who suffers for whatever reason. Now, where does this problem come? And in my view, it's very simple, uncomplicated. The triggers are 2. The triggers are expectations and envy. And they, I expect something, and I to match that expectation, I don't get what I expect. Now, how do expectations get set? We can discuss that. That's a separate subject in itself. But the fundamental starting point is expectation and envy. And envy is about the other guy has it, I don't have it. And this is very classic. I always joke about Facebook and LinkedIn. Facebook is a classic example. I see this in counseling. A boy who was a classic 11th standard person, who was excellent till 11th standard. He's a nervous wreck just before his 12th standard exam. Why? He's a on Facebook, he found that a very close friend of his had a birthday party and he was not invited to it. And somebody has posted saying, and this guy is finished. He's finished, he's seeing a psychiatrist.
Wow.
And that is the Facebook problem. And I keep saying, you see, what is this Facebook issue? And I don't know, pardon me, whoever does this, but in my family, I have a blast telling my relatives. I am sitting and saying, I'm enjoying the Wimbledon in a box with Accenture or McKinsey, or I'm having beer on the Danube, or I'm sitting and having fish and fries. Basically, what you're saying is, Dash, eat your heart out. You thought I was useless. I'm sitting over here. You're sitting in Bangalore doing one Rotary meeting. I am here hobnobbing with all the people. And that's how the envy starts. That's how this envy thing starts. I said, this is a 2.5 GPA. I am a 3.8 GPA. And I'm sitting over here. This guy, he puts this thing, bought my new Audi, bought my new apartment, and so on and so forth. So I think we need to be very careful. So does envy lead to expectation? Does expectation lead to envy? I think they mutually work with each other. I have an expectation, and the expectation comes because I envy you. Or I envy you, therefore I have the expectation. So both of them. So I think this is something we all need to think through very seriously, because again, what is the component of envy? I'm spending a little bit of time on this because this is where our troubles start. Our troubles start because of what we are looking for. And we need clarity on that. So I love this framework, or these 3 lines. And he says, what does envy involve? What are the components of envy? Envy has 3 components. The envy component is someone has something that I don't have. That's simple. Obviously, I don't have it and someone has it. But it's not a problem if I don't want it. I also want that something. If you have something and I don't want it, I don't have a problem. But you have something, I want it. And the third thing is, my not having it causes me pain or resentment. And that is why I don't have a problem with Ambani having an helicopter, but I have a problem with Mohan having one. See, I don't have a problem with the best golf sets that somebody has, but when this guy has it, I feel jealous. So I think we need to have a perspective on that, and I love this statement. I don't know how many of you have heard it, but for me, it was new. The statement is, Gaur Vidal says, every time a friend succeeds, I die a little. I think it's one of the most powerful statements that I have heard about self-interest. Every time a friend succeeds, I die a little. And that is something we need to worry about. So to sum this part of it up, and then I'll quickly come to the second. To sum this up, what I'm saying is, today's generation, unlike our generation where we were all born, let's say in the 50s, maybe late 50s, up to 60, 65, maybe even up to 1970, our life was what I call flowing down a gentle stream. Change didn't happen. We had the same car, we had the same refrigerator, we had the same everything. Same spouse. Today, even that is not even guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. That's the truth. I mean, it's a reality. Life has changed so much. So therefore, you could never go wrong in life. When you're going down a gentle stream, you go slowly. At best, your boat overturns a little bit. You fall into a 6-inch water. You come up, you continue paddling. Today, I tell the generation, you're on a whitewater rafting. You're on a journey. Your life is of a journey, which is whitewater rafting, which means rapids, rocks, waterfalls. You can crash anywhere. And therefore, you need a lot more skills, thought, strategy, planning in your life. Not in a very serious manner, but just to think about, what am I trying to do? Where am I headed? And so on. And that is where I said, we need a roadmap. we need a roadmap. And this book was my roadmap. And therefore, let me quickly sum this up with my formula. Incidentally, as Dash knows, and these 5 I's actually came through a trigger from an email from a classmate of ours called Vasanta, who said, we are all getting old, we are all getting to be grandparents. What are the 5 things you will leave for your children, grandchildren actually, to lead a happy and meaningful life? And then I sat back and said, what have I been saying for the last 15 years continuously to everybody? And then I came out, and since I teach at the IIM, and the IIMs, and Dash will know, we don't have a PhD also, so we are not exactly there. We have not arrived. You know, we are still second category people in these institutions. But to lend some credibility and status and respect, you know that all these management guys, one thing they will do is 5W, 4P, 6H, 7 something or the other. And therefore, I put it down as my 5 I's. I for India, I, not I's.
Bharat.
So I brought this 5 I's, and I said, this is a GPS. And the reason I called it a GPS is because this generation will understand what a GPS is. The GPS and a compass, the difference between a GPS and a compass is, the compass only tells you where the north is, irrespective of where you are. Whereas for a GPS, if you want to go, there are 2 things. And what does the GPS do? To know your path, you need to know not only where you want to go, you must also have a location of where you are. It cannot give you a destination without your location. In life, we need to know where we are, because our location keeps changing. I am not the same guy at 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. My worldview changes, my priorities change, my perspectives change, my compulsions change. As a bachelor, I want something. As a married guy, I want something. With 2 young kids, my priorities change. With teenage kids. And what happens is, when I am 55 and I think I've achieved my goals, success goals, I wonder, what am I doing over here? And that is why I say a GPS is constantly recalibrating your path. What does the GPS do? I know you want to go there, but it says, here's a roadblock. Maybe you could try this way. Maybe you could try that way. And I think all of us need a personal GPS. And we need to keep looking at our destination and our location. I think most of us look at goals. We don't look at ourselves. I think that's what happens, because we still carry the goals from where we were. So to make it simple, I'll just close this. I came out with the 5 I's, each one of them. The book talks about a lot of stories. For me, the first I, and for me, this is fairly universal, irrespective of whether you want $100 million in the bank, you want to be a great painter, you want to be a great cook, you want to be a great parent, a mother or a father. It doesn't really matter, because this is about making you happy and keeping you comfortable. My first I is integrity. And I think this is very, very important, because for me, integrity is what I call brand me. And as a marketing person, brand tells you who you are. And it tells you at the crossroads when you have to take 2 different paths or multiple paths, and there are no boards. You need to know which way to take. It's you who will tell me, who am I? And therefore I must take this. We will be in dilemmas. We will be in conflicts. There's a whole chapter on that we can talk about. But essentially what we're saying is, life is a journey of crossroads, which are unmarked roads. And when you're going into unmarked roads, only you can decide which road to take and which road to come back to when you want to. So integrity is, for me, the most important I, because it allows you to sleep peacefully at night. However tough or difficult the decision is, you know what is important to you. And this is the biggest challenge for all of us, because there's always a temptation to take a shortcut, because the stakes are high. And that is the environment that we are working in today. The second thing I say is interact. I say money can never buy you happiness. It can buy you comfort, but it cannot buy you happiness. The people around you will decide whether you're going to be happy or not. And if money could buy you happiness, Prozac wouldn't be $1 billion drug. Depression would not be such a huge thing. Stress will not be the biggest factor that's killing people today. Suicides will not be done by rich people. And therefore, and this is a concern for the current generation, even our generation, but we've crossed the hump, so we are okay. The current generation is becoming lonelier by the day. And there are enough studies to show loneliness brings your life down by 5 to 10 years. In UK, one of the studies done, women fear dying of loneliness more than dying of cancer. That is the reality today. And we must encourage our youngsters, children, to put the mobile phone away, to put the computer away, interact with people in person. In person. We have lost that skill. We have lost the ability to pay attention. I read somewhere that our attention span is less than that of a goldfish, which is about 3.5 seconds. And that is the challenge. So the second element, which I believe is important, is interact. The third is, again, it's been said in multiple places, involve. Put your heart into what you do. If you put your heart into it, then you can never be unhappy, whatever it may be. And therefore, find a job that you love, find a vocation that you love, find a hobby that you love, find something that allows you to put your heart into what you do. So my third I is involve. Integrity is the moral compass. Interact is about people. They will decide whether you're going to be happy or not. As they say, nobody ever leaves a company, they leave the boss. And the same thing goes on in the army. Nobody dies for his country, they die for their commander. There's no one who dies for the country. They die because of his general or brigadier or whoever it is. It's the person who will decide. The fourth I, which is again very, very critical for today's world, is imbibe. Never stop learning. It's no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. And what I say is, as we grow older, our ability to imbibe becomes less, not because of brains and ability. It's difficult to tell people that I don't know, because they look at you and say you should be knowing. So in an organization, as your experience, it's very difficult to say, I don't know what you're talking about. Because it's an ego problem. And therefore, it's all about humility. It's about honesty. Are you humble enough to say, I don't understand, I don't know, and I'm going to learn and so on. So this is my fourth I. And if we don't do that, we're going to be out of business in any case. And the last I say, Rotarians, all of us, you and I, the fact that you and I are talking to each other, we are that 1, 2, 3% fortunate in this country, in the world. We are one of those 100, 200 million people who have the luxury of doing all of this. And the fifth I for me is impact. What is my contribution to the world outside of my job? So I tell my students, market share, bottom line, top line, that's what you're paid for. There's no big deal that you're doing. Have you done something outside? Have you done something beyond you? And that's why, as Viktor Frankl's famous book says, from pleasure, happiness, and the ultimate is meaning in life. Do you have a meaning? Do you have a purpose? Because that also is so energizing. You will be able to set aside many of the other challenges, adversities you have, if you're able to do this. So in my view, the 5 I's, and each one can be expanded substantially. Integrity, people interact, put your heart into what you do. This is again very important for India, because we have become a jugaad nation. We have become a shortcut country. We will do as little as we can. And I keep telling my good friend Rishikesh Krishnan, who is the director of IIM, people like him have made a virtue out of a vice. They have written books about jugaad being a strategy. It's absolutely not a strategy. The original word jugaad in Delhi, in the Delhi corridors, is jugaad means I'll fix it, wheeler dealers. Jugaad ho jayega. It's not about frugal innovation. Frugal innovation is frugal innovation. Jugaad is fixing. There's a world of difference between the two. And we have become this because we want to take shortcuts to reach the top. We want to take shortcuts to do whatever we want to do. We want to do minimum effort with maximum output, which is not a bad thing, except that it shouldn't be harmful. So this is the sum and substance I want to talk about. So for me, I don't have the visual. I believe that our happiness lies on a foundation. The foundation is integrity, because that defines you, me as an individual. This is the only thing that's going to help you in your whole life of crossroads, dilemmas. And the dilemma is never between doing right, choosing between right and wrong. The dilemma is always between choosing between right and right. That's another very interesting framework. It's between choosing, do I play for my team or do I play for my conscience? Do I support my family or do I support the law? Both are right. Those are the dilemmas. When I break a red light, I am doing wrong and I know I'm doing wrong. And I'm so in life, we need to differentiate between moral temptation. Moral temptation is I know I'm doing wrong. I know the consequences. I'm good to face it. Whereas dilemmas are what we call ethical dilemmas. So we have to differentiate between ethical dilemmas and moral temptation. The moral temptation is very individual, but ethical dilemmas, we need clarity. So on this foundation of integrity, I have my other 3 I's. People, put your heart into what you do, learning. And on the top of the pyramid will be, at the end of the day, what impact have I made? So I love this. I love this scene from Bucket List. And I always say this because it's a beautiful thing when Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman and 2 of the best actors, 2 guys dying of cancer, going around the world in the bucket list. They're sitting outside the pyramids in Egypt. And Jack Nicholson is the arrogant, obnoxious guy. Morgan Freeman is a nice guy. So Morgan Freeman tells this guy, Jack Nicholson, he says there is an Egyptian mythology which says when you die and when you need to go to heaven, before you are allowed entry into heaven, you are asked 2 questions. The first question they ask you is, how much did you enjoy your life? But the second question is even better. He says, how much joy did you bring to others in your life? And I think that is the sense for people like us, people who sit in my Indian Institute of Management class. I said, we are the fortunate people sitting in air-conditioned offices. And I think all of this in some way or the other gives us a purpose, gives us a meaning, gives us a direction, all of which would lead to some form of happiness. So Dash, I have done met your deadline. Thank you very much. And any questions, I'm open to it. Happy to answer. Thank you. And thanks for inviting me, Dash. It's a pleasure as always to meet.
Ramesh,
Thank you.
Ramesh.
Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. It's nice really listening to you. And we have got little time. So is there any question anyone wants to ask? Yes, yes, TV.
Yeah, Ramesh, that was excellent. That was beautiful. You're a better speaker than I've never played golf with you, but I've seen you so often.
He's a better speaker than golfer.
But I must say, even the game of golf kind of envelops everything that you said: the integrity, the interaction, the involvement, the imbibement. You keep learning all the time. I keep learning from Dash all the time, and the impact and the contribution that you make to yourself. I'm just looking at it from a totally different perspective. We talk of happiness as if it is something that we chase. Of course, I know that success is something that we chase. But just look at it from a different standpoint. How much of all this is related to karma? We are all Indians. We believe in karma to such an extent that I always believe that I'm a product of destiny. And sometimes, as much as we like to think that everything is our own effort, and every little piece of success that we enjoy seems to come from hard work and deliberation and all that, there's so many things that just fall into place, and which makes us, subconsciously or very very happy from moments and gives us a lot of pleasure. How do you relate that?
Mohan, I didn't mention this in my first part. You see, the minute you talk of karma and fate and destiny, you go into the realm of philosophy, spirituality, religion, and so on, which is important, which is very important. So I said there's a lot of this written in books, from the philosophers to the Gitas to the Quran. So I call that the wisdom of the ages, the wisdom as given by the ages. My lecture and my book is what I call the wisdom of age. That's it. Gray hair, 45 years, 72 years. So I am not, I think there are even the little bit I hear of all these spiritual masters, who are brilliant speakers. Karma is karma. Maybe there is a destiny, maybe there is a fate, but that doesn't mean I sit back and say, leave it to karma. And I'm saying, as long as I am doing what I'm doing and the satisfaction that I've given it my best, I think that is really what I would say. I am a big believer in karma, by the way. I mean, I'm not saying no to that. Let me say that. I have seen it happening, unbelievable experiences, if not, simple. What you don't understand why. In fact, for me, karma is, why am I so lucky? Why am I so much luckier than millions of people all over the world? That's karma. I'm reminded of a brilliant Arthur Ashe comment on that. When somebody asked Arthur Ashe, the brilliant tennis player, and this was a very powerful statement. I don't know if you must have heard of this.
About his age.
About his age. And when somebody asked him, Arthur, Ash, do you really, complain, and God, why are you so unfair to me? And you've given me this. He said, there are millions of poor Black Americans. There are millions of poor Black this. There are millions. And out of those millions, God chose me to win this US Open. And when he chose me, I didn't ask him, God, why me? And I think that was the most powerful. My daughter tells me, even reminds me, he says, Dad, when I was in the 5th and 6th standard, you told me that. I will never forget that statement. So my view is, Mohan, to sum it up, karma is there. I mean, it's despite what you do, if there is something doesn't happen, maybe there is a meaning to it. But otherwise, I believe we have to do what we have to do. I think that's what the famous Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Our job is to do our duty. We can't leave everything to Uparwala.
Yeah, thank you, Ramesh. That was quite enlightening. Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure seeing you.
If I can ask a
Likewise.
question, it's a little different. You see, in today's parlance, what do you think is the reason? Is it the peer pressure? Is it the aspiration not matching the achievement, or something else? Because the other day I was literally petrified when my 12 years old nephew said, "Oh, my exam is coming. I'm too stressed now." I mean, at that probably when I was 12 years old, I could probably didn't even understand the meaning of that word, So what are we going to tell our Generation Z today? Which route they should take? If you have to sum it up in a very brief line.
I don't think I have an answer for that. I think it's just a combination of too many things. I'm a marketing guy, and I keep saying, when a product is a success, is it because of the product? Is it because of the competition? Is it because of the price? Is it because of the availability? Is it because of and it's a combination of all of this. There is no one factor that contributes to success or failure. In the same way, I think there's a huge amount of, we need to understand that there are many, many factors, but the first factor, in my view, and I'm unequivocal about it, not ambiguous, I think it's the family. It's the parents who have, because that's the place where they grow up. And that's where they get their security, their insecurity, their problem, and in my case, I told you, my kids, I told my daughter, please don't do engineering. Please go and do an art subject, do liberal art. She did what she had to do. But I know the pressure came from outside. They were, why talk of bad? My daughter, my son and I are good racket game players. We are very good in racket games, and we play competitive game. And my daughter said, in the 8th standard, she said, I decided I will never play a racket game because I will always be subject to comparisons. And she is a swimmer, and none of us go into the pool. So she spends hours on swimming, and she's a role model for all the girls in the apartment when she was in the 5th, 6th, 8th standard, 10th standard. So I think parents have to be sensitive to the pressures that children are going through. It's not only the parents, but the environment creates these pressures. The teachers, the friends, the Facebook. There's so many things. All I would say is parents have a huger role to play. It's not about spending a time on a Saturday, Sunday and taking them out to the mall or a picnic.
Alert from call services soldier.
It's far more than that. And today, I don't think, let's be clear, how many of us as parents, how many adults come into the house, everybody's on the phone, everybody's on the, we've lost it. We've lost it. I'm very clear about it. You go to a restaurant, people are paying some obscene amounts in some high-tech dating, a boy and a girl, or a young man and woman dating. Both are on their phones. We've lost the ability to be with a person. So I tell my son jokingly, I said, yeah, look at this fellows. They're on their phone and they're spending money over here. She says, my son says, Dad, the problem with you is you're a dinosaur. They're texting each other. No, the point I'm trying to make is we need ground rules. So we have, in my house, we have a ground rule. from the day the children were born, there will be no eating anywhere except on the dining table. There will be no television, no phones, no books, no nothing. He says that's family time to talk. And secondly, my wife made it very clear. She says, you have to respect the person who has cooked the food. You have to show respect to the person who has done something. So we were brought up in, I think so today we have fairly clear. My grandson comes, Sani boy, you're going to eat over there, then you go to a television. There is no way you're not going to do that. So I know I give a long answer to a short question, but I think the parents have a hugely important role to play in being sensitive, not just being indirective.
Mhm.
The pressures they're facing in schools, in social environments, all of that.
Right. Thank you. Does anyone has any question? Or should I request Jasubi to give the vote of thanks, please?
Thank you all. once.
Good evening. Good evening, Ramesh.
Good evening.
This is Jasbir here.
Good evening. Jasbir.
Of course, a very big thank you for you for taking out your time and addressing us this evening. Actually, the way I felt, that the way I took your lecture is literally your life's journey. So when you talk about your life's journey, the thoughts just flowed. And if I may add, and some of us may agree, many of us have almost gone through a similar journey. So a lot of us can relate to what you said. And if I see, unfortunately, we should have had, we didn't have a lot of youngsters, I think, listening to what you said today, because it would have been terrific for you to hear what your perspectives about youngsters today are. If I take away a couple of things from what you said, of course, you quoted the very famous quote, "Money cannot buy you happiness." I think this quote is valid for all times. The second thing is, of course, this equation of success equal to happiness or happiness equal to success. In fact, this is a big confusion. Not only is success and happiness, today you have a third element, it is physicality. What I look at, how I look, my iPhone I'm carrying, the t-shirt I'm wearing. And of course, the other point which you mentioned, I think the young generation today, because the fact that they're going down a faster stream, they're not able to gather themselves. Probably we were lucky, we went down a little gentler stream. The speed at which they're traveling is going to give them a lot of, they're going to get thrown off the board, they may even half drown. And after that, what happens? They get into a fixation mode. I must fix this, I must fix that. This fixing culture is, I think, really the strain, including my son who's 30 years old, and my elder one who's 2 years elder to him. I can even confess that one of my sons went through a stress process. They again fix, okay, I'm going for 1 week of meditation, I should be enough for that. Or I put on weight, 2 weeks of diet should be enough. They come back, they're saying that, yeah, okay, I've done it. Not knowing that 1 week back, they're back in the same thing. So I can't blame the youngsters, because the fact is that the emotional strength of this generation has come down. And the emotional strength coming down is draining them the capacity to accept or bear certain things. And God forbid this continues, because to a certain extent, I think the society is having major problems. And the major problem is again because this happiness quotient is missing. And end of the day, I also have one word which I feel is something which generations should have: gratitude. Gratitude is something which is gone. Today, I've got something in hand. Oh, I bloody well earned it. I deserved it. Not that because I'm grateful for what I have. So I don't want to extend more, because I think you already gone the flow. And thank you very much again for coming and expressing the thoughts. God bless you. Good night.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
I
so
will-
much for speaking to us.
Thank
And I
you.
also once again thank all the 23 participants who have listened to Ramesh. And I'm sure each one of you will probably agree with him that yes, all of us are going through in the same way. Okay.
Gagi,
Yes. Yes, Shivdev.
Gagi. Can I say one last sentence? I'm sorry if I
Yeah,
went beyond
yeah,
the vote of
please.
thanks.
Please,
Shiv,
please.
you always had the last word. Come
To
on.
sum
Yeah, please.
to sum up Ramesh's speech, it reminds me of one very lovely phrase. It's so simple to be happy, but it's so hard to be simple. It's so simple, it's hard to be simple. So I think
Yes.
That's exactly.
That's true. So it looks like you had the last word, Shiv.
Thank you. Thank you. Dash,
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm just rushing off for a IIT Bombay
Yes.
50th year
Right.
reunion celebration planning. I'm on that committee.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so I
Hey,
will.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ramesh.
Thank
All
you.
the-
Thank
all
you
the
very
best,
much.
Very, very
Ramesh.
sweet of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Good night.
Good night.
Much obliged. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.